Production, and today we're going to just talk about superstition because Friday the 13th is coming up. Everybody has those weird superstitions and everything that doesn't make sense to anybody. My mom, at one point in time, she had the black cat superstition. Anytime a black cat crossed her, something bad was happening. And at one point in time, to avoid a black cat, she caused a wreck. So,
my ex had a similar superstition with black cats. Every time a black cat would cross her path, she would have to double back and then recross her path.
Yeah, my mom ended up doing that all the time. That was just super So, what's the super crazy stuff that you had that your family has superstitions? Because I really don't have superstitions.
Well, growing up, don't break a mirror. Don't walk under a ladder.
The walking under a ladder, that superstition is actually pertaining to the whole of hey, if you walk under a ladder, the likelihood is higher percentage that something's going to fall on your head.
Yeah.
That's the superstition breaking that down. The breaking in the mirror.
That's even easier to explain. It's because the reason they say it was 7 years of bad luck is because the cost to produce a mirror when the superstition came about was so high that for an average person it took right about 7 years to save enough money to buy a replacement mirror.
Okay, I could see that. That's okay. Well, it's like there's a superstition that if you get your feet swept by a broom or something, you won't get married.
I've never heard that one before.
If you hang out with a lot of black people, they have that superstition down pat. Every black person I've ever met, they have that superstition.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. Well, that one actually has like several offshoots to where it could be you're not going to get married, you're going to jail. What was the other thing? There was another thing that no, I think that was the only two. Is it you break a mirror or not break a mirror, but you're not going to get married or find a relationship, or you're going to go to jail.
A good one I can think of that people do, not realizing that they're even doing it, is pocket knives.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah. And if you receive a pocket knife opened, return it opened, and if you receive it closed, return it closed.
That's also the same reason why you do that is because, hey, hand me something that I gave it to you the same way, so I know what it was. Yeah. Now, half the time, I'm not going to lie, I'll have to ask the person, did I give you two open? Because we did that last week, and I asked you, it's like, hey, did I give you two open or closed? And yeah. And there's another superstition with knives, you never are giving a knife. You always have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that one?
No.
Yeah, my dad, every time he gives me a knife or anything, he's like, hey, do you got any change or anything? I was like, yeah, I got a penny. Okay, I'll take that. Because you're not allowed to give a knife. You have to pay for a knife.
Huh.
It's one of those weird superstitions, too.
The only thing I've heard about that one is, is a movie with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. And where Alec Baldwin gives Anthony Hopkins' character a knife, and Hopkins gives him a quarter in return.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's still superstitions for like buildings too. I mean, they've gotten a little bit off of that, but there's still that superstition that you're not supposed to have a 13th floor.
Yeah.
And
it's actually funny. It's not that they're not supposed to have a 13th floor. It's that the 13th floor is bad luck. Well, and a lot of the older buildings, the elevators did not stop at the 13th floor. There was no button to get off on the 13th floor.
Yeah. Well, the whole Friday the 13th stems from the dissolution of the Knights Templar in 1307. It was Friday, it was a Friday the 13th, 1307, when the King of France went after the Templars for basically their money.
I messed up. Sorry. Wrong model.
And so, ever since then, everyone thinks Friday the 13th is bad luck because of what happened to the Knights Templar.
Well,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think that they do say that historically it's traced back to that,
Mhm.
but another bit of information that I was, reviewing at one point in time say that it actually goes back even further than that. It's really mixed in with how the number 13 becomes a religious and a cultural thing in
Yeah.
many places going back, and a lot of times treading on that number or using that number in certain ways violates those religious aspects, and therefore it became a taboo,
Yeah.
and it progressed upwards as that. But
Well, if you look at the occult symbolism of, that's what I'm looking for, gematria, where each number has a specific meaning. The number 13 is symbolizes rebellion, specifically rebellion against God.
Oh, okay.
So,
See, I didn't even know that. That's
yeah.
interesting. But
So, and
But yeah, they say officially the whole Friday the 13th thing came
Yeah,
about
yeah, that's
around what you were talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
But growing up, I was raised in a Baptist household, right? And we didn't have any superstitions really. The ones I had as a kid, I learned at school. Don't step on a crack, break your mother's back, stuff like that. Don't, if you spill salt, throw salt over your left shoulder, something goofy like that.
yeah, I think is it the left shoulder or is it the right shoulder?
It's
Take a pinch and throw it over your shoulder so it's your left.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I don't remember it based on right or left. I remember it based on the action.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, it's like both my parents had the same superstition of the the date of 23rd was bad luck for them, and the color blue.
really,
Yeah. Well, every blue car they've had, they've wrecked horribly.
yeah.
And well, my sister was born on the 23rd. Well, no, for some reason, every bad thing that's happened to him is on the 23rd. So now I just keep on telling my sister, "You're bad luck."
Well, if I were going to go by that logic, I would make May 5th bad luck.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people when they start using their, they see a pattern
Yeah,
of certain things happening, like the color blue vehicle. The color blue for a vehicle is bad for my family. They just see a pattern and they expect that pattern to be what is either bad.
well,
or
that's a
good.
self-fulfilling prophecy right there.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if you just be careful, you could probably drive a blue car. Now, on that note, though, the color not to get on a vehicle is from senses is gray or black,
Really,
and the reason why that is because they're hard to see on the road.
yeah, I can see that.
So technically, that's bad luck to buy those cars, but they're so freaking cool.
That and in bright white.
Yeah.
Bright white apparently causes more accidents than any other.
Really,
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, you go down a rabbit hole, you find some weird shit.
yeah,
Well, see, black gets into accidents because it's not easily seen at nighttime.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
White causes accidents because white or really reflective surfaces, because the light reflects off of it in such a fashion that it blinds the person driving toward them.
Oh, I never heard that.
But
That I don't remember all the numbers on it, but but they actually did a statistical survey on all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I was like people saying that a person that has owned a red vehicle, and insurance. If you own a red vehicle,
Well, I
you
think
have higher insurance because most people think you're going to race it. It could be a freaking red Pinto, and people think you're going to race it.
Well, I think it's been statistically proven that red vehicles get pulled over more because they draw the eye.
Yeah.
You know, and the same thing is true with the real bright yellow vehicle.
Yeah, that's another vehicle.
I think that's a hideous color to go on a vehicle.
Well, hell, freaking
Unless it's a Ferrari.
No, it's still hideous.
It's a Ferrari. There's no such thing as an ugly Ferrari.
It can still be a pretty Ferrari that's an ugly color.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they only have red or yellow, so
No, they have multiple colors. It's just whatever they want to put out, or if you can afford it, you can have a different color. I was watching on Classic Cars, Jay Leno's Garage.
yeah.
And he was getting a new GT500.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally, to get a GT, this is what you have to do to get a GT. First, you have to have so many classic cars.
Really?
Yeah. And then after that, you literally have to have an application just to buy one of those.
Yeah.
From the factory. From another person, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But from the factory, you have to you literally have an application you have to fill out. It's like, hey, you have to have so many classic cars.
Yeah.
You gotta have this. You have to have a garage to put it in. And then they send you this packet. It's probably around about that big.
Yeah.
It's a packet. And it comes with not decals, little models of what color you want it. And you just pick out what color, then you send those back, and they manufacture your car.
Well, I don't know. I did not know that.
I didn't know that until I watched that thing on YouTube.
Well, he can afford it though.
God, he has 4 garages.
Yeah. Well, he has a jet bike. Come on.
No, he has a jet car that runs on ethanol.
Yeah.
I thought he had a rocket car.
Rocket car. That's jet car. Rocket car should be the same thing, right?
No.
Well, one has its own oxygen supply, and one pulls in oxygen from the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, you can run it on a bottle of whiskey. No, he literally
That's a waste of whiskey though.
Yeah, it is. But for when this car came out, I think in 1963.
Yeah.
And very rare car. That was one of their selling points is they took a bottle of whiskey and they poured it in the gas tank and it ran. and it run.
That's actually the only muscle car, or the Shelby GT500 and the 350. Those are the only Mustang muscle cars because the others are just pony cars.
Yeah. Well, hell, Larry, I think it was his wife that got it. Got like a 4-banger.
Yeah.
Mustang. Because it's more economical. Nowadays, all you're basically buying when you're buying something like that
Is the name.
Is the name.
Yeah. It's the same way with buying a single action Colt.
Yeah.
That costs $1,000. You're buying the Colt name.
Unless it's a Camber. Cambers are nice.
I'm not a big fan of the 1911 platform.
I'm not either.
And I've heard too many horror stories about Cambers anyway.
I just don't like 45s. One, the bullets are expensive. Two, every time every 1911 I've shot, I could barely get the second shot out because my grip on the gun isn't it's not efficient as I forget about that back safety.
Yeah.
And I'm not used to it, and the second shot won't go off.
The only 45 I've ever owned that was worth a damn was H&K USP 45.
Okay.
And that was, I got an H&K USB 9, and it's a tank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
It'll run whatever you want it to.
Buddy of mine has one of those. He said it runs good, but the only reason why he got rid of it was because of the ammo is expensive. I mean, 9mm. And you'll have people that are bitch mode complaining. It's like, no, the 45 will put a hole in anything.
No.
Both freaking bullets will put a hole in anything.
Yeah. Well, when I was at the Compton County Sheriff's Office doing the fingerprints for my concealed carry, the sheriff's deputy asked me what I was going to carry. I said, well, I've got a Glock 17 and a Glock 19. And he had I think a Glock 22 or Glock 17 on his hip. He said, for me, it's 45 or die.
Yeah.
I said, you got a Glock on your hip, right? Yeah. Is it easy to take apart and clean? Yeah. Is it accurate? Yeah. Will it run whatever you want it to? Yeah. The hell are you bitching about?
Yeah.
You know? And it's shot placement. It's not caliber.
Right. I mean, really, if you wanted to think about it from a perspective standpoint there, body armor has a more difficult time stopping a smaller projectile at a higher velocity than it does a larger projectile. In other words, yeah, you shoot somebody with a 45 and they're wearing body armor, it's going to hurt like hell. But if you shot somebody with a 22-250 and they were wearing that same plate of body armor, they'd have a hole in them.
Yep.
I don't know. If you get a 750 grain Smith & Wesson 500, you might have a totally different story there.
Yeah.
Well, the way body armor works, though, is it's not that it's actually immediately stopping the bullet by just immediate friction.
Yeah.
It disperses the energy outward and across.
Yeah, it disperses.
And the larger the projectile, the easier it is for that material to disperse the energy.
Yeah.
So the smaller projectiles actually have a higher chance of penetrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the 5.56 or the M855, I think, steel core ammo was outlawed, but was
Well, those still
prohibited
Yeah,
by,
it was
by the ATF.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That was the same thing with 57.
yeah,
Because they had the steel. It was either steel or lead. I think it was lead. But they had the original was just lead in the inside, and because of the speed of the bullet, it was penetrating body armor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to get those rounds nowadays, it's so freaking difficult.
But when you really all boil it down to everything taken into account, the only reason any of those calibers mean anything is if you're talking about body armor, because it don't matter if you get shot with a 22 or a 50 cal. If they know what they're doing when they shoot you, you ain't walking away.
Yeah, because even if you hit a person dead in the chest, it might hit the heart, it might not hit the heart. Because hitting the heart on a person is freaking difficult. Now, to get a person just out like a light, you don't have to worry about them. You literally have to hit the nose.
Yeah.
Right here, the actual vicinity is right here, because once you hit, you're hitting the back end of the spine.
Yeah.
And there's not that much bone to stop it compared to how much bone it is to stop right here. Because in all reality, this right here is built to take a punishment.
Yeah.
This right here
is not.
It's literally an opening in your skull.
Yeah.
Covered up by cartilage.
Yeah, that's where most snipers aim anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's just like lights out, boom, you're dead.
Yeah, it's a turn off switch. And people was like, "Oh no, they can still pull the trigger." No, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Once you hit that point, you basically
you fall like a sack.
Yeah,
you fall like a sack of taters.
Yeah. But we're getting off topic. Superstition.
Well,
that's not really a bad topic because there's a lot of superstitions with guns too.
Yeah. Well.
Because, like you said, one person, their views and everything is, hey, it has to be 45.
Yeah.
Or the person that just knows that, hey, if I throw a rock fast enough, I read this in the Bible, it will kill a person.
Mm-hmm. They actually found Goliath's skull.
Did they really?
with the stone in the forehead,
Really?
and it's a big skull.
Really?
But-
So there were giants.
But not the way they describe them in the Bible.
Oh,
They were very, very
How
large
many-
people, but
how many times have I told a story that I end up
well, that's
emphasizing on a lot of stuff? Candy can't have me talking about the story where she makes fun of a person that was handicapped. It was the funniest thing that happened. Okay, my friend Candy, she's hard. Well, she's a very Christian person, and she was The actual story is this. I'm not going to emphasize it. I'm trying not to emphasize on it. The whole story of this is we're at a restaurant, and she was facing the window. I was facing into this restaurant. Anyway, she's laughing. She's like, I can't believe that person parked that close to the vehicle. He can barely get out. And I look back, and it's like, you mean the guy that's in the walker? That's the reason why he can't really, get out of his vehicle. And she's like, I didn't see the walker. I just figured he couldn't get out totally. And I'm like, I'm just laughing at this point in time. I was like, Candy, you just made fun of a handicapped person. That's it. Now, when I tell the story, most of the time, I've emphasized on a lot of stuff. And it's when you're telling stories, a lot of people, when it's not hearsay. It's more or less a person adding a little bit of themselves onto that story.
Yeah.
It's like the fisherman's tale. I caught a fish this big.
Yeah.
The emphasis on this big.
Yeah. But that's how stories go. I mean, I could tell a story about. Okay, I got a story. Michael, go ahead and tell what happened when we went to Burger King that one time.
Well, let's see. David decided he was hungry and I was driving, and so we talked back and forth, and then David decided we were going to Burger King because I'm indecisive about food. Generally, I forget to eat, so I really can't say anything there. So anyways, we pull into Burger King. We pull up to the window, and David goes, hey, let me order.
I heard this one.
And I go, all right. So he leans over me, and he goes, yes, I'd like a Whopper with lots and lots of mayo because I like the creamy white stuff, especially on my face. And then he went along like this for a little bit, just kind of drawing things out in such a fashion. And then he turns to me and he says, sweetie, what would you like? At that time, I'm taking a deep breath and I'm stuttering and I'm panicking because this was before I got medicated. So I have anxiety and panic attacks, specifically social anxiety. In other words, being around people. Needless to say, the only thought that ran through my mind at that point in time was after a deep breath and an exhale, I turned the steering wheel away from the drive-through speaker and I hit the gas and I accelerate out of the parking lot. I mean, literally, I think I almost drifted out of the parking lot. I was in such a hurry to leave.
Now,
I may not be accurate on that one, but I know I left in a hurry.
Now, same story. Okay, you got that story. Here's the same story, but it's my point of view. Me and Michael decided to go to Burger King because Michael can't decide anything. We get up to the window. I was like, hey, Michael, let me go order for both of us. Michael goes up, sure, fine. So I go across from him. I'm yelling at the speaker. I was like, let me see what I want. Yes, I would like a double Whopper because I want as much meat as I can. I can't get enough of meat. I want that meat. Also, can I have extra mayo on that? I really need that extra mayo. I want it all over my face. Sweetie, what do you want to eat? We already got the drinks and everything. It's already included. What do you want? And just Michael just drives off. That is the same story. Michael added his little spill and his little verses of it, but that's how stories go nowadays. And a lot of people don't understand, especially nowadays when people are doing that's right now. It's the world's worst is the news.
Yeah.
People want to do their own spin on the news instead of just actually emphasizing the truth, which sometimes it's okay. But I've seen this one because the Chappelle, Chappelle Sticking Stones. It was off of BuzzFeed. Hands up, this is it was Dave Chappelle shouldn't do comedy anymore. It's offensive. And Dave Chappelle is known to be an offensive comedian, which is hilarious. I don't care. He goes after everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, the first part of the paragraph of this article was, "I'm an Aquarius." I'm like, well, what does that have to have any freaking thing with the comedy special? Why you're offended? And Aquarius, literally, first couple of sentences of this is just about her.
Yeah.
I was like, but you're doing an article about Dave Chappelle. After like 2 paragraphs down, I finally found out why she was offended because of the transgender joke. But it's nowadays because people are putting news articles into the fact of, hey, anybody can be a journalist.
Not really.
Not really. Everybody can be a journalist as long as they go out and do what journalists actually does the research. I mean, doing one article. I mean, the stuff that we do right now, like we're doing Superstition. We come up with a couple of superstitions. We know a lot of it, some person has done research down the road on one topic, another person's done another topic, or they've heard stories or whatnot, and another one does another topic, and they've done the research that way. Now, one person doing research on all that stuff, it takes probably about a week, especially if you want to get really in depth. Like Dan Cummings, his episodes of Time Suck, all he's doing is reading out of all the stuff research he's done. Now, when he does that, nowadays his first podcasts were probably about 30-45 minutes long. Then it got to an hour. Now it got to 2 hours. That's the only reason why is, one, he's a stand-up comedian. He has to go out and make money.
Yeah.
He does make a little bit of money from the podcast through Patreon and everything, but he has to make his money to other avenues, and he's a stand-up comedian. He doesn't have time to research. I mean, to the extent of an actual researcher, just for one subject, him doing it every week, I think he backtracks it he does a topic, he researches it for 3 weeks. Now he has people that research for him.
Yeah.
So it helps a hell of a lot, and there's volunteers for that too that help him out and want to hear. It's just, if I research everything, if Michael researched everything and you research everything, you want me to talk about the topic, it's not because I know everything on that. No, y'all giving me the information, but y'all like my voice better than y'all like your own voice. And that's the reason why I'm saying it. And that y'all agree on something like that. That's what podcasts right now are. They're informative to the point to where, hey, we like your voice. We know you're a moron. Here's the stuff to talk about.
See, and
not that I get that people think I'm a moron, but
and that's where I differ with you on that one. I think there's a difference between podcasts and journalism. I don't believe just anybody can be a journalist, because there are too many people who are too dead set on interjecting their own opinions into the feed.
That's the problem with nowadays is everybody thinks they're a journalist.
But that's just what I'm getting at is, but you don't have to be a journalist to put your opinion out there, and that's kind of what we do here.
Yeah.
Following that, there are a lot of people who have weird superstitions in this area going along with the comments they get. Like some people, I got 5 bad comments right off the bat. I need to delete this. It's going to bring me bad luck.
Well, that's going off to the cancel culture on that one. Because if... what was the... It was a news anchor for basketball, and she accidentally let the N-word come out.
Oh, yeah. KTLA.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And she accidentally let the N-word come out.
She meant to say the New York Knicks, I think.
Yeah. But, okay, in my honest opinion, it was a mistake. It sounds like a mistake. Now, if I go to her house and all I see is Klan memorabilia and Nazi memorabilia, then I can make a better judgment on that stuff. But just one little tiny mess up, because we've had mess ups, and I've had one mess up, not with the N-word, but I was up at a gaming store, and I do voices. I do voices to the point where sometimes I can get myself in trouble. Because I can talk like a lisp, and that lisp, it really helped out, because sometimes I'll talk a little nerdy, and it's super awesome. Well, there's a guy that was gaming a couple of feet away from me that has a lisp, and he comes up to me, and he starts talking. I find that lisp thing a little bit offensive, sir. Are you joking? Because, and I have not seen like a person that has a lisp in a long time. And I was like, "Are you joking?" "No, I really have a lisp." "Oh, dude, I'm sorry." I just apologize and go about your business. The culture that we have right now, it's both sides. Right now, we're at a political separation. We've always had that a little bit.
Yeah.
But now it's full blown.
Well, that's because this will make me sound old, but these kids have been so coddled and so pampered, and they think that because they find something offensive, they can stop it. Such as my niece. She's 23, and she thinks there are restrictions on the First Amendment. I told her, I said, there's no restrictions.
Yeah.
And I've used offensive language. I'm not gonna say what it is. And she's threatened to call the cops. I'm like, call them right now.
Yeah. But there is
no restrictions on the First Amendment. You can even stand up in front of a group of people and say hatefully incite.
They do that. The Klan has rallies, but they're allowed to have those rallies because if it has to be peaceful. Mm-hmm. That's one of the restrictions. It says so in the First Amendment. A peaceful, God, I can't even think right now. A peaceful rally. Is it rally?
First Amendment.
Protest.
Speech, press, and religion.
No, there was. I think there's supposed to be assembly.
Yeah, freedom of assembly.
Freedom of assembly. You have that right. Now,
but what I was saying
it says peaceful assembly.
You don't see those same people standing out on the corner preaching. You and you should go kill all the gay people because the corner is out in public, and you're not only just out in public, you're declaring an action
of violence.
Even though, yes, those Klansmen are all in, and they're spewing hate speech, and sometimes they
never say any kind of violent term. It's hateful speech without violence, I believe.
No, I don't agree with it. I try my best not to view anyone in a hateful manner, and I don't believe that other people should look at the world that way, but that doesn't mean I can change the way they look at the world, nor does it mean that I think I should stop them from saying what they've got to say.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the cancel culture is the left has so indoctrinated.
Well, it's the
these
right
kids.
too.
Well,
But okay. My point example is the Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw was just wanting to have a debate about red flag laws. Now, saying that, he was called, "Oh, you're trying to take away our guns." No, he was having a debate to see if they can come up with a solution, not with the red flag laws, but with some kind of mediator. Mediary? Is it mediary? Intermediary to where both sides or everybody could be a little bit happy.
well,
Now, it really is, and most people that are on the right side are for gun control, and if any point in time,
No, it's the left.
left,
Left is gun control.
left.
oh yeah, left gun control, but even on the right, the big 2A, and it literally is both sides. One side doesn't want you to have anything. One side doesn't want to have any kind of restriction or anything. And I hate to say this right now, there is no restriction for you to have a fucking cannon. You can get a cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody understands that. They're like, no, we can't have big weapons or weapons that do mass destruction. Have you ever used a cannon? Cannons are pretty effective with mass destruction, especially if you get the balls that you can get a motorized ball and you can stuff some C4. Have the inside full of C4, and as soon as it hits the freaking house, it explodes in glory.
Well, why even bother with C4? If you really just want weapons of mass destruction, and I will not complete anything on how to put this all together, but I will say, you can walk down to Walmart and buy all the stuff you need for napalm. And you put it together in a big enough glass jar and light give it a throw. I guarantee it ain't going out.
Yeah.
You get lots of mass destruction there.
Yeah. Well, even we said this in one of our episodes also. One of our episodes was weapon control. It wasn't gun control. It was just weapon control. Because there are countries out there that you can't even own a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can't own
No,
a knife
it's
with
also China. You have to, if you want to be like a cook or something like that, you have to get registered to own a chef's knife.
Yeah.
You have to be registered to own and use the chef's knife, and you have to have a permit for each knife that you plan on using. So literally, you have to have paperwork for each knife. And England, they've actually they're working on making laws, I believe, because I didn't see that they hadn't passed through, where they were going to stop selling pointed knives. They wanted to make it so that you couldn't own, and they were going to stop selling in the country knives that have a sharp point. All of the knives had to be
But what's really
flat or
sad
rounded.
is nobody was willing to talk about the worst weapon invented by man, the hammer.
Yeah.
Most deaths are created by blunt force objects.
I was going to say a rock, but
Yeah, but blunt force weapons is the most cause of most murders, and
Well, hell, you can pick up a stick and you'll beat somebody to death with it.
yeah.
but yeah, everybody wants to have the.
What's that superstition about stepping over a stick? I remember there being a superstition about stepping over a stick.
I've never heard about it.
I've never heard about it. Oh, I got my trusty laptop. I'll look it up. Oh my.
It's a stick or a branch or something. Well, this is like they've got a lot of weird ones around that one because it's like one culture has a wedding ceremony that revolves around stepping over a broomstick.
Really?
Yeah. And somewhere in the Bible, they were talking about using sticks to make cows or livestock have different patterns on their young.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, is you lay the sticks one way and the livestock would have this pattern, and you lay the sticks this way and the livestock would have that pattern. And then supposedly I forget who it was in the Bible, but they were supposed to be breeding livestock for their master, but they got to keep all of the livestock that didn't turn out the way the master wanted. Basically the rejects.
Yeah.
So they were told, okay, lay the sticks in the field this way and have the animals step over them, and it'll make all the offspring of the animals turn out this way. So basically, it was like a pyramid scheme that God set up in the Bible. But I can't remember all the details of it. I just know it was a story, and it's in there.
Yeah. I won't go off of that because my laptop doesn't work.
But I seem to remember, Melissa's, other than the wedding ceremony and the other random, I seem to remember there being some other one, but I can't remember the other one.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of superstitions that happen around weddings. I mean, the tossing of the flowers.
Yeah.
And the rice.
Well, you can't even do rice anymore.
Because it kills the birds.
Blows up the birds. It's like giving Alka-Seltzer to pigeons.
Not
or
pigeons,
seagulls. Yeah.
Road trip.
You don't have to do a road trip. It's any bird. You just start tossing. Who was it? I think he was. I'm pretty sure it was my dad telling about No, it was my mom telling me about one of my uncles. He was. They saw some cigars and they had Alka-Seltzer, and they started just crushing them up and just tossing Alka-Seltzer, and the birds. As soon as they see something, they'll go out and grab it, and you just see it grab, and after a while, it'll be fine and drop dead.
It's kind of like it's illegal to put a whole bunch of rocks in the bottom of a mason jar and then fill it the rest of the way up with Alka-Seltzer, screw the lid on, poke holes in the top, throw it over the side of the boat.
What does that do?
It kills all the fishies.
How's it killing the fishes?
Explode?
Oh. Well, you can't fish with dynamite either, so I guess it's the same thing. What? You never fished with dynamite before?
No.
You can't
Why not?
fish. You can't fish with electricity either.
Oh God! I remember a story. No, I saw a story that it was 100 Ways to Die.
Mm.
One of the guys did that. He had one of those generators, and the boat had water in it. It was a metal boat.
Ooh.
And
he
he turned it on. He thought everything was screwed. As soon as he turned it on, he tossed in the cables and dead. People do stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the other thing? I don't know. I guess we can call it quits for right now.
We bounced around so many various
I know,
different
we did,
subjects.
but
We ought to just
we
relabel this one random stuff.
Yeah.
Or just superstition, random stuff. Well, I'm David Dickerman.
I'm Michael Moffitt.
I'm Stephen Baggs.
And this is Angry Moon Production. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you can keep on watching. Talk to you later. Bye.